So Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun signed some pretty dope contracts. Alperen Sengun signed a 5-year rookie extension, and Jalen Green signed a 2+1, which is kind of crazy. We're going to start with Jalen Green. We'll get to Alperen Sengun in a second. Jalen Green's contract is 3 years, $106 million, with a third-year player option, which is very, very key here. So the Houston Rockets had a couple of options. They could have signed him to a max rookie extension. They could have not extended him at all, but instead they gave him this 3-year deal. How does this benefit the Rockets? So the Rockets, they now can bet on Jalen Green. They can go, hey, we don't mind paying you that money, but let's see if it's real or not. So for right now, with this extension, they can pay him a decent amount, and in 3 years, they'll check back in. So in 3 years, when the salary cap increases, they're going to have two options: either sign or not sign Jalen Green. Is going to be perfect, because in that third year, they're going to have a great contract to move. And if they really wanted to get a good return from a team that needs to tank, and they just want a guy, or maybe a team that's like, hey, we have a bunch of assets, and oh my goodness, no, we're not going to go on that tangent. We're not doing trade predictions right now. Anyways, there's a lot of flexibility that comes with this contract for the Houston Rockets. They can either sign or they don't sign, and it doesn't really mean much to them because they think that Jalen Green is that guy, and they're willing to pay him the money. So what does this mean for the Houston Rockets? They have a ton of flexibility when it comes to this contract. It's 3 years. It's not 5. It's not 4. It's 3. This guy has the ability to be a true stud for this team if he learns the right things. And I think under Ime Udoka, he will. Now, with that being said, let's say he doesn't work out. Let's say he doesn't turn out exactly who he's supposed to be, and he's not like a true offensive engine. What happens? You still have this very, very young, what is he, 21, 22 now? This very, very young player who's going to be maybe 25 by the time his contract is up. If Jalen Green doesn't reach his potential, that's okay, because it's a very, very desirable contract for a team that's tanking if he's bad. And if they're not tanking, it's a great contract for a contending team. A 1-year lease on like a legit player, of course, sign anybody up. And if he works out, like I think the Houston Rockets think he will, the same thing with Jalen Green, obviously. Otherwise, he wouldn't bet on himself. They have no issue with paying him the money. Why not extend him for a super max or whatever the hell he's going to have, or whatever he's going to have in 2027? Who cares? Now, the key for Jalen Green, why is this such a good contract for Jalen Green? He gets a bet on himself. He gets guaranteed money for 2 years. He has the option to leave if he wants to sign to another team under his own volition in year 3. But not only that, but he has a leg up on the competition, not just from his peers in the class wanting to move to different teams, but also financially. In 2027, he's an unrestricted free agent. That's 3 years before everyone else in his draft class. I'm talking about everyone else has to wait until 2030. He has a 3-year jump. Guys, that's a whole extra contract on his career. The significance of that flexibility is crazy. There's a reason why the stars do that. The 2+1s, the LeBron, the KD, the Steph. There's a reason why they do that. It's because it's advantageous when they know that the salary cap is increasing a stupid amount every single year. Now, let's talk about Alperen Sengun. This is a funky one to me because there are some like real ramifications on the negative end, but also I think that it means a lot long term. So for one, I want to start by saying Alperen Sengun is that guy. He's legit. I think he's the Rockets. I think the Rockets would move Jalen Green in a heartbeat any day before moving Alperen Sengun. He is so good. He is so good between his defense, which is like legit. His offense is, I mean, his playmaking is Jokic-esque. I'm not saying he's Jokic. I'm not comparing him to Jokic. I'm just saying it's very similar, blah, 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 whatever. Anyways, his shot making is amazing. The way he gets to the rim is fantastic. It's not elegant. It doesn't look pretty. It's not like the American way of basketball. It's very EuroLeague, be efficient. I said the same thing about Stephon Castle. They're efficient in different ways. Stephon Castle plays like an American, but he's efficient as an American basketball player. Sengun is get to the rim. Whatever that means. He looks funky. He looks off kilter. So I was editing the video and I realized I left out like a pretty key detail about this whole thing. A part of the reason why the Alperen Sengun contract is such a big deal is because of the cap space situation. So I don't know all the details about cap space. Go watch like a more in-depth video about cap space if you care that much. But basically, Jalen Green had $30 million and Alperen Sengun had $16 million allotted to them for the 2025 season as a part of their bird rights. So the Jalen Green deal, the money that they're spending now is just a little bit higher than his $30 million to keep the bird rights. Now, the Alperen Sengun part is it was 16 and now it's going to be $37 million a year. So that does make things a little wonky when it comes to figuring out free agency, because Fred VanVleet has $44 million on the books. They can decline it. So that being said, the Rockets had two options. One was sign their young star, the guy who's going to lead their team to the promised land, to the 5-year extension for his rookie deal that I think he deserves, and especially to make sure the team chemistry like comes together and so he knows that he's locked in. Or two, tell him to hold off. Hope that he's okay with it. Wait until next year to pay more money and then decline Fred VanVleet's player option to go get a free agent and then add him to the roster. Then sign Alperen Sengun. Obviously, I think that might be like the more logical or like efficient play for the Rockets, but when it comes down to like players and how they're feeling, I think that matters a lot more than I think there's more weight in how players feel than a lot of analysts give credit. Are up there as one of the most talented young cores in the league. Jabari Smith Jr., Alperen Sengun, Jalen Green, Reed Shepard, Tari Eason, like those that's a starting five right there. And most of those guys play backup. And then you have Cam Whitmore, who is, in my opinion, a real genuine star. I think he has superstar potential. I think he can play just as well as Brandon Miller. He's not Brandon Miller, but he can play just as well in a different way. But compare them to like an OKC team, you know, they have OKC is a little different because they have so many picks and there's so many prospects on their team that we just don't know. So they're number one. OKC is obviously number one for me. But yeah, dude, Rockets are right there behind. Their young core that is supposed to be garbage is gonna make a playoff run this year. Are we understanding this? Yo, if you like the video, subscribe, put the post notifications on so you're up to date with all the things that I'm posting. Let me know in the comments below. Do you think the Alperen Sengun contract was a good idea? I do. I think it was a great idea, but a lot of people are on the other side where it's like, no, have the Rockets have more flexibility with their cap space. So tell me what you think. I think everyone should be happy for Jalen Green and the Rockets for that contract, because I think it's good both sides. Not much changed. Better opportunities for everybody. Everybody makes more money, so it's going to be fine.